G'day, it's Dean Miko from Edge7 Financial here, and today I thought I'd do a quick Q&A because I've received a couple of emails in the past few weeks and great questions received on those emails, which I have responded to directly, but I thought perhaps if these people have taken the time to write in, which I really appreciate, perhaps there's other people with similar questions and it might be worth answering them to a broader audience. But please take into account that this is general advice only, not taking into account your financial situation. And even though I am a licensed financial advisor, I'd encourage you to go and speak to someone about your specific circumstances. So let's get into it. The first email is from John, and the subject is retirement question. Hi Dean, I've been looking at your website and watched a couple of your videos. I noted that you pointed out in your superannuation video that most people won't be able to retire comfortably just living off their superannuation. Could you please explain how much people will need in retirement to live a decent lifestyle? By the way, I'm enjoying your content. Thanks, John. Well, thank you, Johnny. I appreciate your email. And I think the best way to do this is to work backwards and figure out how much you want to live off in retirement. Let's say for ease of numbers, you want $50,000 per annum in income. So from there, what you'll need to do is work out how much capital you will need in retirement to be able to generate $50,000 of income from that capital or from those assets. If you owned shares, good quality shares that generated a 5% dividend, for instance, you would need $1 million of shares in a share portfolio generating $50,000 or 5% return from an income perspective. If your investment vehicle of choice was property, say returning 4% per annum from rent, you would need net property assets of $1.25 million. And if you wanted to go down the term deposit avenue at, say, current 3.2% return, which is quite generous at the moment, you would need $1.6 million in a term deposit to generate $50,000 per annum. So I hope that helps, John. And there's one more thing I should consider on this subject, and that's cash flow. You need to consider cash flow. Because if you're going to go down the shares avenue, most companies only pay dividends twice a year, so theoretically you're going to need at least 6 months of cash flow, or in this case $25,000 as a bare minimum, sitting aside to live off in that first 6 months until the first set of dividend payments roll through. And if you want to go down the term deposit route, well, you know, if interest is only paid once a year on that term deposit, well, you're going to need a year's worth of income sitting aside while you wait for that first term deposit to roll through as a minimum. And that's on the basis that people are looking just to live off the income from the investments, not to draw down any of the actual asset value. So John, I hope that answers your question. Thank you for that. The second question I received was from Phil and Sarah, previous clients of mine or previous investors in my investment fund. And they're from the Cairns area, far north Queensland. And I was delighted to receive a message from Phil, which I did respond to in great detail, probably waffled on a bit. But the subject from Phil was Edge7 Financial Newsletter. And he writes, Hi Dean, a pleasure to subscribe and glad to see you're publicly active again. What services are you offering now? I was very interested to read about your SMSF, but not sure of your proposal. And Phil also goes on to talk about currently teaching his eldest to drive at the moment. And he thought that the markets were nerve-wracking by comparison, or that driving is, I guess, more nerve-wracking than the markets. So I might address that later, but Phil, and for anyone out there, I don't think the markets are that nerve-wracking if you invest in the right companies. But to address the first part, what services are we offering specific to the SMSF? Well, it may not be for everyone, self-managed super funds. It can be for many people. It might be worth considering if you have one or more of these, I guess, attributes in your life. If you have multiple superannuation accounts, if you have 4 or 5 accounts or anything more than 2 as a couple, you're generating fees, it's costing you a lot of money, and that's no doubt eating into your performance and eating into your superannuation and your retirement income down the track. If you think your super might not be performing, it might be worth considering. And also for most people, it's if they want control of their investments, they want to control their performance as well. And it means they can control not only the performance, but the asset class it's invested in, typically residential property, sometimes commercial property and shares. So they're the 3 main factors. I would address, or would like to just touch on, I guess from a personal point of view, Phil's message about teaching his eldest to drive. And being a young dad myself, I've taught 2 of my 3 sons to drive now, and I've got 1 to go next year. And I agree, it is nerve-wracking. The first 10 to 20 hours are quite nerve-wracking until they have control of that vehicle. But my advice to anyone out there, not just yourself, Phil, but anyone that's watching this, is take the time to enjoy it. It's in New South Wales, parents or guardians need to do about 90 hours of driving with their kids, and after those first 10 to 20 hours, well then you've got 70 to 80 hours just to have a chat with your kids. You've got a captured audience. You can talk to them about love, about life, their goals, their education, their school, and generally making them responsible road users, which then flows on to them being responsible members of society and contributing members of society. So I think that was my goal. I realised I've got this time. I'm going to do the best by my kids and try and get them ready for society by the time they get their Ps at age 17. So I hope that helps, Phil. I appreciate the question. If anyone else has got any questions, please, by all means, write in to dean@edge7.com.au, and I'll do my best to answer them as quickly as possible. Have a great day.